Hello and welcome once again on this afternoon with me, Simon from Avago-Ink Designs. Thanks for joining us everybody on this afternoon for some more inspiration. I can see some of you are logging on at the moment. If you are new to the channel, my name is Simon Williamson and I'm here from Avago-Ink Designs, and I'm here to give you some inspiration with the products that we have from our lovely crafty collection. But sometimes we incorporate some of the other brands as well, but it's all about having a bit of fun and using the products you've got at home to create some great cards. So if you are on social media as well, hit the like and notify, and we can keep you informed with any news about the Avago brand as we go along, and then you'll be the first to know, won't you? So let's say hi to some people then that have already logged on. So we've got Irene on, we've got Paula, Anita. Thanks for joining me. I think Irene said it's a bit windy where she lives, so it's not too bad here, I've got to say, but you never know with this weather, do you? It was only snowing a couple of days ago, so who says that? We'll have to see what the weather's like later. So whether you're from the UK or further afield, thanks for joining me, and hopefully this will give you some lovely inspiration. So I thought today's cards, what I would do is continue the inspiration with the embossing folders from the Avago-Ink Designs. So the first sample that we've made is this really cute, clean, simple card. It just shows you how effective we can do a clean card. And this is just chopping it up a little bit of ink by embossing. I'm going to show you how to emboss a panel within a piece of card so you don't have to continue the design the full way. So let's get started. Let's have a go at this one. So first thing I'm going to do is I already pre-cut a piece of card, and this piece of card it's 5x7. So let's get that first of all. And I'm going to be using the lovely Hearts embossing folder. I've also put a little bit of a sticker on the top of these. So I find it easier to do it that way, that I know which way is going to be raised when I put it in. But sometimes they look very similar designs from top and bottom. So it just stops you making a mistake. So I'm going to place this in here, leaving a band across the bottom big enough for where I want my sentiment to go. Irene said it's wet, windy, Simon here in South Devon. Oh, I've never been to Devon. I bet it's beautiful down there. So I'm going to bring in my embossing machine. So you can see there, we've got that little overhang there. I've got it nice and central. I can use this edge of the folder to make sure it's all lined up. And then that way we're going to keep it all nice. But you might want to do it on a bit of an angle, but we're going to do ours straight. So let's pop that through. It'll be summer soon, won't it? It'll be like a tropical heat wave, I promise you. Let's move that out of the way. And just look at that. If I hold that up for you, you can see the depth in there. So you can see we've got like the love arts going up on top of the love arts. So if I just show you that, look at the depth you get on that piece of card. And whether you want to mount it that way or on the reverse, both come out really well. It's just such a deep kind of three-dimensional effect that you get on there. But we're going to use the raised one. I'm going to use this side here. I'm going to get a piece of paper. And I'm just going to bring this detail out with using a little bit of ink colour. So I'm going to use the Magenta from the Pretty Colours inside. And because I want to make sure it's quite a soft dusting of colour, I'm going to use this kind of bigger brush. So let's pick a little bit of ink up. A nice circular motions just across those hearts, just to make them pop a little bit. Hi Samantha, thanks for joining us. Just trying to go as light as I can, and then we're going to leave that white background in there as well. I'll turn my card around. So Amanda says, hope you're all okay. It's sunny but very windy here in Bucks. Oh, it's so different, isn't it, the weather across the UK? Just put a little bit more pressure on the centre panel, just get these little tiny hearts. And then I'm just going to put a little bit more pressure around the outer edge so we can just kind of take this down a little bit so it's not as harsh. Just soften them like edges a little bit. Same across the top. And then down this side. Just makes it pop, doesn't it? It's so easy, this technique. I think embossing folders are one of those things as crafters, you kind of don't know what to do with them. And then once you've got them, you start playing around with them. You start putting different cards through, your papers through, you try different effects. And then you kind of get it. And then from that point, you want them all. I'm going to say, I can't stop. Just taking that bit around there. There we go. So you've got a lovely panel there. You can see with that kind of like, that ink just makes it pop lovely. So rather than just doing a square card, I thought we'd alter this little shape up a bit. So I've got my corner rounder out. I'm going to use the biggest one, the R10. And I'm going to take off this corner here. And then the opposite one. Ooh. There you go. I'm going to do exactly the same with my mounting card and my actual card blank. So keep that one there so you know which corners you're going to remove. And I know then I can go back in with this and I can make my card blank match. Oops, get those bits of card out of the way. I'll do the same with this one. Just gives it a different feel as well. Just altering like this, the base shape gives a lovely detail. So this one here, I'm going to glue onto the actual card blank and get that actually glued in position. So let's use a little bit of wet glue for that. I use my tape runner, it seems to have blocked again. If you've got any questions as we're going through, just put QQQ and then I'll not miss any information you want me to answer. I'm just going to centralise that up. Give that a good push down. And then we'll just pop that to one side. I'm going to bring up the stamping platform now. So I want a nice big sentiment on this kind of open panel here at the bottom. That's why we've created that kind of white space. It kind of makes the sentiment pop a little bit more. So I brought with me the big sentiment from the Oriental collection. You Make Me Happy. So I'm just going to hold that down with a magnet. Pick that up. I'm just going to dust that with the embossing pad. Just make sure I've not knocked it out of sync. Should use two magnets, shouldn't I? Just pop that back down a second, just to make sure we get this all nice and level. So You Make Me Happy. Pick that back up. I'm going to do this in the same pink ink, so it all kind of gives a corresponding theme. So juicy, these pads, I tell you, they're lovely. So one more time. And that a good push down. And then let's bring that out of there. Bring my scrap of my paper back in. And I'm just going to emboss this with that clear sparkly powder that I had in my stash. Just transfer that back into here so I don't lose any of it. Feels like it never goes down, this embossing powder. I've been using it for over a year now. And then let's make this sparkle now. So just get the gun hot. And then we'll just go down that sentiment. If you notice your card's starting to warp, just change to heating from the back and it just helps a little bit. There we go. So Samantha says, what's the best way to store your ink pads? I always like to store mine flat, I've got to be honest. I do have one of those like little wooden fitments that has all the little slots, but quite often I just keep them in a plastic tray and then I can just grab the whole thing and have a play in one go. And Margaret says, can you tell me which weight of cards you find best for the embossing folders? This card was, the stamping card was I think it's 250. I've not had a problem with it cracking or anything like that. So I think it's either 230 or 250. I'm almost positive it's 250 though. But if you do find that the card that you're using is struggling a little bit, just give it a little bit of a spritz with water and it'll just open the fibres up a little bit so it's less likely to have a problem at your end. But also use a textured card. Sometimes that's another way around it, because then if there's any kind of cracks, it's hidden in the texture, you won't see it. But I've definitely had a problem with this, and this is the stamping card from Stamps by Me, so I don't know that's on the website. I'll have a look later and put a note on for you. And he says, I've never tried to emboss only part of the card. It's a good way into it, and it makes your sentiment pop. So if you put that sentiment on top of the embossing folder, you'd lose it a little bit, Anita. So it's just a different way of doing it. Right, so now what we've got to do is we've got a nice piece of pink ribbon that's going to coordinate with this. So let's just pull a nice bit of this off. I just grab my scissors. Ooh, I'll just grab my scissors from over here. I'm going to tie this around that kind of join line, so you can see where the heart goes onto the white card. So just going to tie that into a knot first of all. I'm going to put the knot towards this side. You want it tight enough to hold its position, but not too tight, it's going to bow your card. So let's just tie that into a knot first. That's secure. And then I always find I'll tuck one of these tails down the back just so it lays a little bit flatter. There you go. Let's chop these off. We've got a little bit of a shape as well, so we're just going to fold this ribbon. And then we're going to cut. It's a bit springy. Then we're just going to cut across that, just to give it a bit of a shape. You can do them pointed, or you can do them as a fishtail. I'm going to go for a pointed effect on this one. That's there. And then I just want a kind of a love art to bring this together. So I've got a die for that. I've got this lovely pink that we've been using. So let's just run one of these through, just quickly chop this out. I think it'd finish it off really well. This is when at home I've got all these kind of shapes ready, and then you can just add them to a card to finish it off. But I weren't sure if we're going to go with a glitter card today, but now seeing it, I think this is going to look a lot nicer. Move those out of the way. I'm going to stick that over that knot, you see, just to kind of break it a little bit. It just breaks up the card. I'm going to stick this onto some foam pads. So I'm going to do the foam pads first, just so that it don't knock our little heart out of line. And that'll raise this up a little bit more on the card. I'm going to put a foam pad over that ribbon, and then that'll hold that as well. And then I'm just going to put just some down at the bottom, just support it a little bit more. And get my pokey tool. Pull those little bits off. The one doing well, it's not fighting with me. And if we turn that over, can get that mounted onto our panel. This gives it a little bit of a height, so it gives it another kind of dimension. And then we can glue this art. Just get my poker tool just a second. Just onto that knot on the ribbon that we've got, and that's going to finish that off lovely. So push that onto there. Just give it a second to grab. And then we'll stand this one up for you. And there you go. So that's just a really clean and simple card, showing you how a little bit of ink dusting is going to bring that kind of ink folder out, the embossing folder. And it's a great way as well to just show you can extend your actual card design by just embossing half of it. So hopefully you've enjoyed that first demonstration. I think I've answered all your questions that you put on there. Yep, I'm sure I'm up to date. So what we're going to do now is going to give you some lovely inspiration from the Avago range, and I'll join you back in a couple of minutes for the next demonstration. See you in a sec. Hi, my name's Simon Williamson. I'm the guest demonstrator for Avago-Ink Designs. Avago-Ink it's basically images that we can put together so anybody can have a go. I think I love the most about crafting is it can just give you time out in your own head. It can just down tools, not think about your mobile phone, and just enjoy what you're going to do. Create a project and be proud of what you've made. My inspiration comes really from lots of sources. I love looking at current trends. I like looking through the internet. And I like looking at what other people make. And I think truly inspiration comes from picking bits out of everything you see, pull it all together, and make it something that you can do with your skills. Avago products, we've got 3 collections out at the moment. We've got as Dinosaur range, as Farmyard range, and as Little Owl collection. And the main crux of the actual designs is there's a big image there, little characters you can play around, have fun, and there's always some puns in there as well, so you can liven up the card and make it a bit humorous for everybody. I think if you're thinking about trying one of our products, don't be afraid. Just buy any of the kits that you feel like you want to, and you'll always create a really good card from there. There's some good characters, good sentiments, and some really fun images in there. So just grab one and have a go. And welcome back. And you can see from that video, it is all about having a go. So whether it's my products or the ones that you've got at home, just get them out, have a play, and just have a bit of creative time for yourself. That's what we're all here for. So I hope you enjoyed that first demonstration. What we will do is we've got this QR code feature. I forgot to introduce it earlier, so we'll run through it now, but it's a really great feature. And you're going to see it becoming part of the How to Craft network on nearly all the shows anyway, so it's good to run through. So you can see down here, we've got this little QR code. It says scan to shop, and then it says use code shop20. If you scan that with your camera, it will launch you to the website. You put in the actual code shop20, and it'll list all the products that you've seen today that we've used, the ink pads, the glues, the blending brushes, the papers, anything that you may see in that show will be listed there for easiness for you to shop. So you don't have to worry about listing the names down as you're going. You can just go onto that and then just add them to your basket after. So it's a really good feature to have, and it's just peace of mind, and it means you can grab your cup of coffee, watch the demonstrations and enjoy the show. So let's go on with this second one then. So this one, I thought I'd bring back some of our earlier characters on this one, and I brought back the Farmyard collection. But I thought I'd show you how to use your embossing folders to make a really vibrant impact flower on the middle of a card. So this one's a daisy, but Tony launched some daisies the other day, so I thought I'd swap this up on this demo, and we're going to do a sunflower with the actual one that we're making today. So let's have a go at this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the back of the card ready to actually mount this up. So I've got a nice big card. This one's 8x8. And then I've got a nice piece of blue card and a black mount for that to go onto. So we might as well get this onto our card blank because I know where this is going to be stuck. And then that can be set in while we get the rest of our card made. I'm going to use a bit of wet glue. So Amanda says, beautiful card, so nice and different. I do try and do different things. I like to have a play around. Just going to glue this bit down. And it gives it time to grab then while we get our card assembled. A nice black border just to make it pop. Give that a good push down. It's the big flower that we're going to make is cracking, but even if you're not really good at ink blending, it really does make it easy to give you a good effect using the embossing folder. Okay. And then the last thing we need to do is we just need a strip of grass down here for our little character to be grounded on. So let's get that all put in as well. We just need to trim this to 8 inches. So I'll just get the scissors, hold that level. There we go. I'm going to chop that there. And there is in the farmyard set a lovely kind of stamp for the little grass, but just for ease, I'm just going to cut a wobbly line here to give the kind of ground effect. So I'm just going to just freehand this. And there you go. You've always got 2 to choose. You can choose which one you prefer, but I think I prefer this one. And it finishes on a high at either end. Let's get that glued down. And this is going to become the base of our card. So let's get that pop down. Push that down. So there you go. So that's going to be the format of our background. Really easy, and anybody can achieve that. So let's pop this to one side to be drying. And then let's get on with our little card. So I've cut some kind of textured card up here. I'm going to use yellow, but I'm going to make the sunflower. This is 3 1/4 strip by the length of, I think it's 12 inches, a 12 by 12 paper pad. I'm going to fold this in half. I'm going to fold that in half again. If you keep it this size, it's going to give you the correct kind of petals for an 8x8 card. So on this piece of card here, we're going to cut 2 petal shapes out. So you're going to start at the bottom and go right up to the top, and then you know that they're going to fit the kind of design really well. So I'm going to do freehand again. So I'm going to cut one that way. I'm going to turn this around. And don't worry if they're not identical, because then it makes it look more natural as well, doesn't it? So I'm going to cut another one out over here. Chop that a little bit off there. And there we go. So we've got some lovely petal shapes there going on. Now just remember at this stage, turn the correct way up so the texture's all on one side. Because the way you folded it, it'll be a little bit different. I'm going to bring in a piece of blank paper. I'm going to bring in that lovely orange coloured ink pad called Bittersweet. And I've got one of the little blending brushes from Stamps By Me. These are really good. They've got the same kind of surface area as the big one. But it means you can be a little bit more precise where you put the ink. So just going to brush this on just to break some of this yellow up. And don't worry if it looks a bit heavy in areas, because when you emboss it, it looks completely different. So this one's going to have a little bit more orange towards the bottom. And we're just going to put some of this orange onto every bit. So this one, I'm just going to take it down one side. Just take that around the top as well. And I'll just add some colour to these. So just breaking that yellow up, giving a little bit more definition. making some a little bit darker than others, just so it adds more depth to our lovely sunflower. And we're just going to tip those off. Move our paper out the way. So you do need to make quite a few for this. So this is how we made 8, and it shows you how fast we can make them. But I'm going to show you how to emboss these, and I have done a few others ready to make it a little bit faster. I'm going to bring in our embossing folder. We're going to make sure it's with the bump facing upwards because I want that kind of design. I'm just going to lay these in here. Keep them as random as possible, and then you're not going to get the same pattern on each one. So let's pop them up there. Close that up. Bring in our machine. Run that through, and this is going to add your texture to the actual petals. And look at the difference this makes. So if you look at that compared with that, look at the difference that we've got. The blending kind of breaks it down with this kind of added texture that we're going to be doing. So we've got some going on there. We're just going to run these others through as well. Pop that back through. Ooh. And I'm just going to add that to my pile of the ones that I made earlier at home, just to make this a little bit faster for you guys. Put that over there. So the way I did this is I've cut out ahead of time just a round piece of card. This is just, I think it's about a 2-inch circle. And this is going to be kind of the base that I'm going to glue these onto. So I'm going to put some wet glue down. Make sure there's plenty on this little bit. And I'm just going to randomly go around this. So if we start off on our glass mark, you can see we've got this purple line. We use that as our gauge. So we're going to put one on here. I'm going to go opposite. One over this side. And then we've got one over there. Look. I'm going to put a little bit more glue on top now. Just because we're going to be adding layer upon layer. And we're going to continue building this. So now we've got our 4 on. We're going to put our middle layer on. Oop. Take that one around there. And then that one down there. So I'm just going to hold that down just a second to grab a little bit more. And I'm going to put some more glue on now, on top of those. So you could leave it just like that. There's this real nice texture going on, isn't there? But I want to make this a little bit more fuller. So now I'm just going to fill in the midway gaps between all these. So in between each petal. Just making sure I've got enough glue on to hold these. And then I think I need one more. Oop, just down here. Just going to hold that down just to make sure we can get that glue to activate. Samantha says, what plate combination are you using with the SBM machine for these folders? I will tell you in just 2 seconds. I'll just get this glue to hold. There you go. So we've got our sunflower just up there. So let's put that up there a second. So when I'm embossing, I've got the thinner of the 2 plates. So this is the thinner shim and the SBM. I've got the base plate, and I've just got a little bit of card just to actually give it a little bit more push into there. So probably 2 pieces of card, but that's paid for that one. And then I've got the thinner of the 2 shims. and then I put that in. And I sometimes run the embossing folder directly, or I sometimes trap it in between the two, but it works either way for me on this one. So sometimes you do have to have a little play, but the embossing folders are kind of all hand assembled, so you might need to just put a shim in. Some people don't. I'm just going to make sure that's all sticking nicely. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the centre of our flower there. So I could put a plain one in there, but I actually think this texture is really nice, so let's emboss this as well. So let's get this put through. Texture upon texture, that's what we want today. We'll run that through. And this is going to give a little bit of stability then to our flower. So we've got that. A little bit of glue on the back. And then we can trap all those petals into place. And just give that a little bit of a push down. You're welcome, Samantha. And there you go. So if I show you that, I just hold that up. So we've got a real dimensional sunflower now. That lovely ink really makes it pop. Then when we get this onto our card, we can play with lifting some of these little petals up to give a bit more dimension. But let's get our characters and our sentiment made, and then we can continue assembling this one up. So I thought we'd use one of the lovely sheep in this one. So I think we should go for this one that's kind of stood up. Just looking at the flower, I think that'd be a nice one to use. Let's get a piece of stamping card. And I think I'm going to use that lovely sentiment, sending you love. Just tap that magnet on there. So make sure that they're clear of each other. I'm going to do these in the black ink, so I'll use the Midnight Black from Stamps by Me. Give that a good tap to make sure we get all the detail. So I'm going to go one more time. There we go. I want to give a little bit of colour to these characters. I could use watercolours, but I thought just for a bit of speed today, I just use my alcohol markers. So let's have a look. So we're chewing some grass. Let's give this a little bit of a green here, just to break that area up. Not going to be adding a lot of colour to these, but I think the sheep are lovely with the white background anyway. And then we've got our lighter grey. So I'm just going to add some details into these little swirls that are in there. And just round his tummy really. And round some of the darker edges. Just to kind of lift it just a tad. I think we'll give him some grey hair there. Just make it a little more dark around here. Little grey tail. I've got a slightly darker grey, so I'm just going to just add a little bit more into some of these areas. Just to break them up a little bit more. And I'm just going to drag that out with that lighter grey again. And then let's give him some, should we give him some little pink here so it makes him pop a little bit. A little bit of pink on his little legs, look. Into lovely. So I'm going to die cut these out now. So I've also got a round die for our sentiment, sending you love. So let's pop that on there. I've also got some low tack tape just to hold these in place. And I've also got a corresponding die for our lovely sheep. Let's pop him there. I do love a die. As you can have hours of fun colouring them in and then cut them all at once. So let's pop this in there. Take out my shims because I don't need them for the die cut. And we'll just pop this through. And it's going to give it that really nice border around the actual colouring as well to make the character pop a little bit more. Yeah. We've got a lovely little sheep. Yeah. There we go, it's come off. Need a new cutting plate. I've had this one every year. It's getting a bit tired now, bless it. So I think I'm just going to take the edge of this down with a little bit more of that kind of orangey ink as well. So let's bring back in our little mini blending brush. Take most of it off and then I can just dust around that kind of like little detail. Just so I can pick up that kind of stitch detail a bit more as well. Just adds more effect, doesn't it? The Manus as a centre looks like my favourite chocolate biscuit. Ooh, which one? I'm just going to use the brush to soften that right towards the centre. It'll almost give it like a fake glow. It draws you right to that the actual sentiment. Right then, so let's get this all assembled then. So I'm going to put our lovely little sheep at this side this time. So let's get on a foam pad. I tend to put these characters down first and then we can position the big sunflower after. So Samantha says, any teasers for the next Avago collection? Oh, I ain't got any teasers at the moment, but I promise you, it's totally different. You're going to love it. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of the circle. You want to put some glue onto these ones that we glued on first. So these 8 at the back, not the ones that are in between. So just a little bit of glue onto these. And they're going to hold it solid for you. Turn that over. You can decide where we want it. So I'm going to put it over to this side this time. Just hold that down, just to glue. And then we can hold the centre just because it's still gluing. And then you can play around with these, look, and bring them up a little bit. Just to give yourself a little bit more dimension. Give a little bit of a curl if you want to. I'd normally let the glue dry first, but you can get the gist that it just gives you a little bit more kind of dimension on there. And I'm going to get another foam pad. Just turn this back round. And we're going to put our sentiment in the middle of our big sunflower. Sending you love. And there we go. So what do you think to that? I just thought it was a little bit of a different way to play around. Rather than embossing a paddle, using it to create a 3-dimensional flower. I think it looks really good with that little sheep in the corner. I think he's wondering why it's so big, I've got to be honest. So we've done that one. And then obviously we've got the other one that we did earlier on. 2 totally different ways of using that embossing folder. There we go. And this one's, I love the pinky one, because it shows you how altering the shape of the card really adds to the effect. Hopefully that's inspired you a little bit. And if you do want to like revisit any of these products that we've used in today's show, just remember we've got that QR code at the bottom of the screen. Give that a scan and you can type in Shop 20. That's going to take you to a full list of all the products that I've used today in my demonstrations. And there's also more inspiration on there as well. So go and check out the website if you want to have some more inspiration about crafting with your own products. But thank you very much for that. I can see Irene says, bright, cheery card. I know, it's nice on a day like today, isn't it, with all this weather going off? But thank you for joining me anyway, and I hope that's inspired you to get your crafty stuff out and have a go. And I'll see you next week at the same time. So see you later. Bye-bye, everybody.